Tonight, relief for Darwin, but ex-tropical cyclone Carlos heads south to the Daily. The Darwin bombing remembered and new calls to protect its remains. The bullets fly in Bahrain as unrest sweeps the Arab world. And a robotic receptionist let the flying donut lead the way. Good evening, Iskandar Rozak with ABC News. Residents of a remote Northern Territory community are preparing for the worst as floodwaters rise. Heavy rain from ex-tropical cyclone Carlos has been falling southwest of Darwin, and 600 people in the small town of Daly River will evacuate tomorrow as the river approaches their homes.
The Daly River community is flooded in, and the worst is yet to come. The river is at 14.5 metres and isn't expected to peak until tomorrow morning. Locals say it's the worst flood they've seen in more than a decade.
98, but back then I was a bit younger, so yeah.
At least 4 houses are flooded and most of the community's infrastructure is underwater. The sewage system is busted, waste is seeping through the streets. Portable toilets have been dropped off to the 600 residents. Because it's unclear just how high the floodwaters are going to rise, there's no clear figure on just how many houses are at risk of inundation. And slowly more and more residents are moving to higher ground and bringing all that they can along with them.
It's unpredictable, like nature is. So we're just learning to live with it and cope with it, and hopefully someone will make a call and make an evacuation of people tomorrow.
The floodwaters aren't the only problem. Saltwater crocodiles are also a real threat.
I think for the police and for the community as well, because they've got like a lot of kids swimming in the water, so yeah, it's pretty scary.
The people of Daly River are in for a long night. Louisa Rebgetz, ABC News, Daly River.
Ex-tropical cyclone Carlos is predicted to leave the Northern Territory and reform into a cyclone later tomorrow. The storm caused extensive damage as it travelled across the northern top end. In the Territory, homes have been flooded and towns cut off. It's forecast to travel southwest and stay inland until it gets to Western Australia.
After it hits the Western Australian coast, we expect it to cross the coast and reform, and then it'll be renamed Tropical Cyclone Carlos.
The system brought heavy rain to Darwin and surrounding areas this week, but the Weather Bureau says the rain should clear around Darwin tomorrow. The weather conditions and heavy rain made driving difficult around Darwin today. One car had its front end smashed in this accident in Ludmilla. The crash happened when a driver turned onto Bagot Road in front of oncoming traffic. Paramedics assessed those involved at the scene, but no one was seriously hurt. Both cars were towed away. It's been dubbed Australia's Pearl Harbor, but historians fear the relics of the first enemy attack on the Australian mainland could be under threat. At least 240 people died when the Japanese bombed Darwin in 1942. Remnants of the devastating attack can be found across the city, and there's a new call to make Darwin Harbour a living museum. Residents in the West Australian coastal town of Carnarvon are breathing a sigh of relief tonight as floodwaters begin to subside. It's the third flood in 2 months, and while the town has escaped major damage, some residents and businesses are facing another clean-up. The ABC's Andrew O'Connor reports from Carnarvon. Another boat carrying asylum seekers has been intercepted off Australia and is being taken to Christmas Island. If there are children among the 44 people on board, they'll add to the growing number waiting to be released into the community with their families. Refugee advocates say the government is making the move too slowly and they're demanding that processing be sped up. In eastern Congo, for the first time a senior military officer is on trial for crimes against humanity. A mobile court has been hearing evidence from more than 60 women who were allegedly attacked in retaliation for the shooting of a soldier. The military tribunal is now preparing to hand down its judgment on the charges of mass rape. Africa correspondent Ginny Stein is in Baraka. Brendan Favola's days as a Brisbane Lion appear to be numbered after reports surfaced in a Melbourne newspaper today that he could be sacked as early as Monday. Favola has been in rehabilitation after he was arrested for being drunk and disorderly on New Year's Eve. In the pre-season cup, A goal after the siren saw Essendon move into the quarterfinals with a win on percentages, while the Lions became favourites for the wooden spoon after an inept performance against both the Bombers and the Saints. Now to the weather. Tonight's beautiful viewer photo was sent in by Sandra Grant and shows a rainbow over Dripstone Beach. There were squally and windy showers and storms across the southwest of the top end today. It was sunny around Tennant Creek, and Alice Springs had an afternoon shower. It was 29 in Darwin today, 28 in Batchelor. The top temperature was 38 in Jervois. Territory Grape Farm had the overnight low of 22. 29 today in Katherine, 32 in Nhulunbuy and Borroloola 33. Alice Springs and Uluru topped 36 and Tennant Creek was a shade cooler. On the 24-hour rain list, Karama had almost 141 millimetres, Bradshaw had the second highest with falls of 123. In the 6 hours to 3 p.m, Port Keats Airport had 37 millimetres, Jabiru and Middle Point 9. Around Australia today, Brisbane 32, Sydney 30, Canberra 28, Adelaide 24 and Perth 34. On the satellite, ex-tropical cyclone Carlos and tropical cyclone Diane on the edge of the Western Australian coast can clearly be seen. Storms also extend across central and eastern Australia. A monsoon trough lies across northern Australia. Ex-tropical cyclone Carlos can also be seen moving away from the territory as a tropical low to the west Kimberley coast. Interstate tomorrow, rainy in Brisbane and Sydney. Wet conditions also expected in Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne. Blustery in Hobart and some sun for Canberra. To our north, thunderstorms in Delhi and Singapore, cloudy in Jakarta and Denpasar, and sunny 31 in Manila. Around the territory tomorrow, stormy conditions expected in most areas. 32 in Nhulunbuy, Borroloola 33, Katherine 30. Alice Springs 33 degrees, Uluru and Tennant Creek 34. 30 in Darwin tomorrow, Jabiru 31. The morning high tide will be at 7:30, seas off Darwin to 2 metres with winds to 15 knots. The sun will rise tomorrow at 10 to 7. It will set at 7:15. A cyclone watch is current for coastal areas off Western Australia around the Mitchell Plateau. There's also a strong wind warning for the Daly River mouth and Koori Bay. There's a severe weather warning for the Darwin-Daly and Northern Victoria River, and a flood advice warning for the southwest Darwin-Daly and northwest Victoria River. And looking ahead, fine weather expected as ex-tropical cyclone Carlos moves away from the territory, but rainy conditions should return next weekend. And a reminder of our top story tonight. Residents of Daly River, southwest of Darwin, will evacuate tomorrow morning as the swollen river threatens their homes. And that's tonight's ABC News. More news in an hour. Enjoy your evening. Good night.